Hi everybody, I'm Siigari. Today, we're going to learn how to scout. In this match, I'm using a 5916, which is a Chinese light tank. It is a tier 6 tank in a tier 7 to tier 5 game, so I'm square in the middle. That means I know that I'll be able to do a little bit of damage if I have to, but being a scout, it's not always wise to be firing your gun because with your light armor and really weak sides, it's really easy for you to get hit and killed with only a couple of shots. So, to start, we're going to note that we're on Westfield. Both teams have a good amount of tanks, a mixture of tanks. They got heavies, mediums, TDs, artillery, everything. So this is going to be a great demonstration to show you everything that it takes to be a great scout. There are two different types of scouting. There's passive scouting and active scouting. Active scouting involves moving your tank around to light targets so that your enemies can die when your allies shoot at them. Passive scouting involves sitting still, usually hidden, and lighting up targets while you don't fire at them. So, what we're going to do now is we're going to begin. When you start a game, most people expect scouts, if they have scouts on their team, to just rush in and get themselves killed. Hopefully, we don't have that happen. So it's really important to tell your team what your intentions are right away. So, I greet everybody in in team chat with a "Hey all," and then I let them know what my intentions are. I say I'm your scout. This game I'll be focusing on the center of the map overlooking the south hill. Please provide damage as I won't be able to shoot. Thanks. So I want to show you guys just exactly where it is I'm going to be going. That being said, the south side of the map generally involves anything south of G or anything that's in the valley, which is right here. My objective is to get to a safe location, probably here, and spot people on the hill or in the valley or in the small town area right here. So I'm going to go there first. I'm going to ignore this part of the map completely unless I need to relocate because we're losing really, really hard. So we're going to start the match and we're going to get into a position right away.
Move out.
The 5916 is a fairly agile tank. It's nimble, it's got great handling, and it turns quick. Since the T50-2 was just removed from the game, I've really found that this tank performs on a similar level. Its gun isn't as great, but I think that it's got what it takes to make the Scout awesome. As a Scout tank, I mean, not just as a light tank. So, we move up to the spot that I originally wanted to get to. Note that that's the first place that I go, and I ignore everything that happens around me. However, as soon as an enemy scout shows up, there are some things that I have to decide. First of all, have I been spotted? If you have Sixth Sense, it'll take 3 seconds to tell you that you have been spotted, and it will pop up a notification, usually a light bulb, that tells you you're spotted. I don't have that yet, so I need to decide whether or not I have been spotted. Since I've knocked over a tree, there's a pretty good chance that I got spotted, or at least people know that I'm in that area. So I need to take out the enemy scout so that he doesn't rush up and kill me. So I'm going to use my gun to try and destroy him. So here we go.
Critical hit. Enemy is hit.
It's important to know, as soon as you fire, you are for sure detected at that very short range.
Ricochet.
So I move to avoid getting hit by enemy artillery, especially.
Enemy armor is hit.
Okay, now, the 5916 uses an autoloader, which is a fast-firing weapon that uses a drum reloader. It holds 5 shells in the drum, and you can fire them in rapid succession, but then you have to wait 10 seconds for a reload cycle. So the 10 seconds is going to count down. Meanwhile, I'm going to try to continue being safe and not getting hit by enemies. You can see enemies obviously know that I'm, around there, so they're firing at me. Whether or not I'm actually on their radar, I don't know. Okay, the MT-25 is back into position. He's spotting. I got shot and hit. I have to keep moving. There was another shot down at that same location. So now I take advantage of the fact that they've all fired and I can make a quick aggressive move in to take out the enemy scout. Taking out enemy scouts is probably your best job as a scout. When you kill enemy scouts, that takes their visibility of the map down significantly. You've taken it off, so now you're one more scout that your team has and one less scout that they have. It's important to note that I was getting shot from both the south and the southeast or southwest, so I get myself into a position that'll provide me at least some cover from the initial fire. Note that I'm trying to protect myself with some hard cover from the buildings, and I wait for a moment to drop their vision of me before I continue moving again. Now that I think they've lost vision, I go back to my initial spot, which is a great spot to locate enemy tanks. However, this Henschel seems to have spotted me. Take a look. You can see that his gun is pointed in my general direction, even though his tank is going another way. That tells me, oh no, I think he knows I'm here. I have 74 HP, even though he's side and everything, and I know he's got me spotted. It's a good idea to leave instead of fight. He stops. I know 100% now he's got me spotted, so I use this hard cover to keep me protected as I run off in the best vector that will keep me safe, which is in a straight line basically away from him. Note how I wiggle a little bit, turning left and right regularly to keep him from hitting me while I'm running away in a straight line practically. He'll fire a couple shots here and you'll note that he'll completely miss. Like that. That was because I had a really fast, quick turn, and I continue turning to make sure that he doesn't hit me. Lots of shots being fired from different tanks, so I know there's at least 1 or 2 tanks in that direction that I can't see. I announced in all chat, never in an attempt to have him type or get angry or upset. Anything to demoralize the enemy team is great. Now that I've lost the Henschel, and you can see the Henschel is getting taken care of by our IS-2, I decide to go to a new position to scout. And enemy Henschel down. Now, there's no enemies over here, and nobody's been spotted. I know that because there's a Panzer III-4 sitting here and an IS-2 in the bush. If the enemies were there, I would see them on the map. There's an M4 Sherman, so I'm going to move up to try and spot him because I see that the IS-2, who's in the valley, is about to lose spot because of this big hill right here. So watch now as that happens, and watch as I regain visibility of the M4. There he is. He's gone. I wait a moment. Binoculars go up. I move around just kind of looking for him for a second, and there he is in my visibility range. Nope, I'm not firing. Now, this is the most important part of being a passive scout. You may have the best shot in the world at an enemy, but as soon as you fire, you give your place away, especially if you're not all the way behind a bush. In this case, if we take a look here, I am behind a bush, but if I fire, it will drop the camo of the bush and I will likely be spotted. Furthermore, note, there's a guy right next to me that just got blown up. I'm probably not in the greatest spot, but because I am behind a bush and I do have a good camo rating, I decide to hang tight. Truth be told, I didn't even know that that happened, so I just focus on what's going on here. You can see him moving his gun over, but he's firing at another target. Now, let's analyze what just happened. The Sherman fired his derp gun, the 105. I know that has an 8-second reload. It will take me 5 seconds to unload my entire clip into the Sherman. What am I going to do? I'm going to dump my load into him and hope I kill him.
Penetration. Bounced off. Enemy is hit.
Sherman destroyed. Fantastic. It's time to relocate. Relocating is one of the most important things you can do to help your team as a scout. When you relocate, you're offering new points of view of enemies for your team. Staying in the same spot can result to stagnancy and not helping. If you're not helping your team, you're just basically one tank that's not doing damage, you're not providing lights, and you're also just wasting time. So as soon as I kill the Sherman, I decide it's time to go find new spots. So I move to a safe location to drop my visibility of me from the enemy team, and as soon as I think that that's sated, I decide to go in for a new spot. Here I sit a little bit farther back, just to make sure that they don't get any spots through the little crack in the bushes. I see a T-21 on my map. Just by watching my map, it's important to know watching your map will keep you safe. He probably spotted me because, as you can see, there's nothing between me and him. Obviously, I only have one option. I've got to destroy him or he's going to get into our base. Knocked him out. So now, again, I think I'm spotted, so I get to a safe location where I'm going to drop their visibility again. And as you can see, they shot right at me. I tell the team that the enemy Hellcat is not detected. As you can see here, there's a little asterisk right here. That tells me, it's using a mod, that that enemy has not been detected yet. He has, however, gotten a kill. That means he's sniping probably in the south area. So when I figure that out, it takes me a moment or two, I decide he's probably going to come rushing for artillery. Just, you got to know the flow of the game. You'll figure it out as you play. Since I knew he was going to be rushing for my artillery, there's really only one route to do that safely on this map, and that's through the North Hills going through the trees. So I watch and wait and see if I can spot him. I ask, how's North, to check in with guys that I really haven't connected with the entire game. Now, here's the Hellcat. He doesn't have me detected. I know that because his gun isn't pointing at me. It's just kind of pointing over here. I could shoot him, but the fact is, I've only got 74 HP, and I know his gun does about 200 to 300 damage. With only 74 HP, I'd be dead for sure. So I decide to wait and see what he does. He's definitely making a move in. You can see him kind of hugging some of the forest there. I keep him lit until I decide that he's getting a little too close for comfort, and then I decide to back up and figure out what I'm going to do next. Now, I analyze my options. I realize he's going to keep rushing in because I've still got him lit on the radar. Because of that, I decide to go around him and try and kill him from behind if he's going to stay unspotted without my help. Now, here's the thing. The Hellcat has really slow turret traverse and a slow track traverse, so I have a really good chance that I can get behind him and unload into him, probably killing him before he'll even be able to turn his gun to face me. So I go into my best possible position to get there, although I kind of struggle a little bit with the hills. Don't have off-road driving on this tank yet, so it's a little rough and I'm kind of frustrated. But the Hellcat goes spotted. He kind of bonsais into the base. I decide to go in and take him out. I see that he just fired at the artillery, and in return, he is fired at by our IS-2 and our artillery. I get into position, I pull the trigger, and he's gone. Now, here's the Panzer III-4. At this point, you'll note my clip is empty. I decided to do a fast reload after only firing one shot. That may or may not have been a mistake, but keep in mind, the last known position of that Panzer III-4 was right here. Because of that, them's the breaks. I could have killed him, but I didn't. Instead, the IS-6 fires a shot at him, or the IS-2 fires a shot at him and destroys him. Now that that's all taken care of, there's only one guy left. Remember, I haven't been this part of the map at all the entire game, and yet we've still got 6 tanks left. There's the Panzer IV. I rush in to try and help out. And the Panzer IV dies. Game is over. Now, let's review some quick facts about what happened this game. First of all, I didn't get to passive scout, and I had to convert into an active scout for most of the game. The only time that I was able to passive scout was when I was at Echo Zero watching over the bridge. That's okay. Sometimes your plans change. You've got to be adaptable. You've got to be able to do the most important thing that a scout can do, which is reposition. If you're ever sitting still for too long, again, I can't stress this enough, find a location where you will be helpful to your team. Sitting in one spot may spot targets, but if nobody's providing damage, it's not going to help you and it's not going to help your team. So keep moving. The second thing is that know when you can and can't fire at a target. If you're passive scouting, you should hold your fire as long as you possibly can. Even if you can get the killing shot on an enemy target, it's not always wise, especially if you don't know where the rest of the enemies are. Chances are you could pull your trigger and kill that target, but then 4 guys could spot you, put their guns on you, and you could be dead before you could react. It happens all the time, so don't let that happen to you. The last thing is keep your eyes on the map. Know what's going on with your team. Every map has different areas and different locations where fights take place. On this map, there's generally 3 or 4 locations that have fights going on regularly. The first area is up in the very north. These are generally bigger tanks and TDs that are trying to shoot each other and fight, in their own 1v1 or whatever is going on here. The second area is this spot right here. These are generally tanks that have got into the city on both sides and are playing on the hills. Tanks from this side sometimes will fire in, but because of the hill situation, it's not always possible. The third spot is happening inside the city. The city is generally usually hotly contested, and there are people just going through the city firing at each other all the time. The last spot is anywhere in the valley. In the valley is generally where you get the weirdest and slowest fights, with people shooting shots far away at targets that are generally moving and not sitting still. These fights can take a long time. That's why I decided I wanted to help that area out, because I knew I had a fast, agile tank and a gun that could help out, because I was in a tier 7 match and not a tier 9 match. If I was in a tier 9 match, I would probably want to passive scout the bridge and see what I could see that's coming through the valley. At any rate, it's just important to know what's going on at any given time on your map. Know where the fights are happening, know what's going on in the fights, and make sure that you're contributing to your fight. As soon as you're no longer contributing to your fight, find somewhere else to go help out. Anyway, I hope that my video on scouting has helped you guys learn something. I'm Siigari, and I'll see you next time.